My name is James Maloney. I'm a member of Parliament. I represent a riding called the Etobicoke Lakeshore, which is straight to my right along the shore of Lake Ontario. I'd like to thank you all for joining us here today at beautiful BMO Field, Canada's national soccer stadium, and I would like to thank in particular Bill Manning for making this opportunity available for us. Now, just before we get going with the formal proceedings, I would like to invite Elder Sue from the Mississaugas of the New Credit to open today's event and offer a blessing.
Bonjour, Ogajage Higanin and Dishnakas, Magazine Dodam, Mississauga and Dow, New Credit Dunji. Welcome to the treaty and traditional territory of the Mississaugas, the Credit. And I'm here to give a blessing for this event for soccer. One of my, when I was going through school, it was one of the sports that I loved the most, and then it seemed like it died out. But I'm happy to see that there's going to be a revival here, and we're going to finally have teams that are going to be able to go to the World Cup. So, Banda up in the gego anaquagingo ba up in the gego anaquagingo ba Jibuani Banda up in the gego anaquagingo ba up in the gego anaquagingo ba embe majanda Jibuani Banda up in the gego anaquagingo ba up in the gego anaquagingo ba embe come majanda. Let's go over there. Jibuani Banda. Before we forget and go to sleep. Up in the gego anaquagingo ba. Where the fire has been lit and the doorway is open. Up in the gego the doorway to understanding. Namkagewin, Wasa Kabinjabam, Gwinishki Babigum, Kadek Azimwadak, Widabim Shanam, Widopnishnam, Asia Pejago, Bakadane, Esapejago, Anin down him. And that says, welcome, you've come far, and we waited long. Come and sit down beside us and share in the same food that allies our hunger. And then let us rise once more again in friendship and unity as we had in the past. So in those words, I'm happy to welcome you to our territory. Miigwech.
Thank you very much, Elder Sue. Standing here as a Torontonian, as a member of Parliament, a Canadian, big soccer fan, I couldn't be more proud. Does anybody not know why we're here today? Just out of curiosity? Okay, all right, just checking. It's a very special day, and our next speaker I get to introduce is here to tell us why. The Honourable Kirsty Duncan, she's the Member of Parliament for Etobicoke North. She's my neighbour, she's my friend. She's the, actually no, there is one of our other colleagues here. She's the hardest working cabinet minister we have. And she's one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. And she's also one of the kindest people I've ever met in my life. And for today's purposes, what's most important is she is the Minister of Science and the Minister of Persons with Sports and Persons with Disability. So, Ms. Duncan, please join us.
Friends, colleagues, distinguished guests, good morning, bonjour. Thank you all for being here today, and thank you to my colleague, my dear friend, James Maloney, for that kind introduction. I would like to begin by thanking Elder Gary Sue for having traveled to Toronto and to offer his blessing of friendship and unity this morning. Chimigwech. And I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional territory of several Indigenous nations and pay special recognition to the Mississaugas of a new credit. I am pleased today to be joined by Councillor Mark Grimes from the City of Toronto, Peter Montopoli from the Canadian Soccer Association, U.S. Consul General Juan Alsace, and Deputy Consul General from Mexico, Dolores Repetto. Thank you all for joining us. I'm also humbled to be joined by former players of our amazing women's and men's national soccer teams. Robin Gale, Olympic bronze medalist and a member of our women's national team staff, and Jason DeVos, CONCACAF champion and captain of Canada's men's national team. Vous êtes une source d'inspiration pour tous les Canadiens, particulièrement nos jeunes et la prochaine génération d'athlètes qui rêvent de représenter le Canada avec autant d'énergie et de talent que vous. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. I would also like to say a big hello to the members of the Toronto FC Youth Academy and North Toronto Soccer Club. Who have also joined us today. It's so exciting to have you here with all of us, and I'm sure it's really exciting for you to be able to meet some of your soccer idols today. Yes? And this is an exciting day for Canadian soccer players and fans alike. Many of you know that soccer is the most played sport in the world. But what you may not know is that soccer continues to be the sport of choice for Canadians, boys and girls between the ages of 5 and 14, with participation rates continuing to rise. Our love of soccer, my love of soccer, Canadians' love of soccer continues to grow with the success of Major League Soccer in Canada. And most recently in 2015, Canada hosted the very successful FIFA Women's World Cup, which was held in cities across the country and welcomed the world's top players. So we know the impact that hosting international sports events has, not only on our next generation of athletes, but also on galvanizing a nation around the importance of active living. That's why I'm pleased to announce today Canada's support and principle for the United 2026 bid to co-host the 2026 FIFA World Cup with Mexico and the United States. This represents the federal government's support for the ongoing development of plans and budgets. If the bid is successful, we will be part of a historic moment, the first ever multi-country hosting of this prestigious sporting event. It would also be the first time that 48 teams participate in the FIFA World Cup, up from the usual 32 teams. And hosting the World Cup would result in many social, cultural, and economic benefits for Canadians. The tournament will surely inspire young people to get involved and stay involved in soccer. Hosting the Cup will also boost local and regional economies. It will leave a legacy of pride, expertise, and upgraded facilities. It is important to use every opportunity presented by this bid to advance these priorities. Canada is a country that celebrates our diversity as a strength. As part of our reconciliation efforts with Indigenous peoples, this event will offer a unique opportunity to work closely with Indigenous leaders to promote sport in Indigenous communities and to showcase Indigenous culture to Canadians and to the world. And this event will also engage Canada's diverse communities. With 1/5 of our population born elsewhere during a World Cup, every team would truly be a home team. As the largest single investor in Canada's sports system, our government is working to build a strong and inclusive sports system that provides opportunities for all Canadians, no matter their age, region, background, or ability, to participate in sport and recreation. I want to conclude by applauding the work of the Canadian Soccer Association. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today. I look forward, I'm sure you all do, to the great progress ahead as we move this bid forward with our other partners, Mexico and the United States. Thank you, one and all. Merci.
Thank you, Minister Duncan. We're all very, very proud of that announcement. Look, it's wonderful the federal government is supporting this bid for the 2026 opportunity. Now, Minister Duncan, I know how busy you are. If you didn't believe me, she's hardworking. She's going from here. She's going to Pyeongchang to support our Olympians there. So thank you for taking the time to be here. Now, our next speaker is also from Etobicoke. It's Councillor Mark Grimes. So I know there's 4 cities as part of the Canadian portion of this bid, but the games are going to be played in Etobicoke when we get the bid. Isn't that right? Okay, just so we know. Okay, the 3 of us, we can talk about that. I know Adam doesn't like that, but we're going to work on that. In 2026, we've got lots of time to build a stadium too, I might add. And our next speaker actually knows a little bit about that. Councillor Grimes has been serving on Toronto City Council since 2003, and he's been a big, big supporter of youth sports and professional sports and sports in the City of Toronto. He introduced the motion at City Council, which ultimately led to this beautiful stadium we're standing in today. He also introduced a motion in 2015 to explore looking into the 2026 FIFA bid, and we're here today. So, Councillor Grimes, keep up the good work, get that stadium built in Etobicoke, and let's bring this thing home. So come on up.
Good morning, thank you. Minister, distinguished guests, it's great to be here this morning. I bring greetings from Mayor Tory and members of City Council. And as Elder Sue said, the door is open and the fire has been lit, and that couldn't be more true words than we see this morning. I had the great opportunity to travel to Houston with Bill Manning and the team to meet with United Bid, with Peter Montopoli, and totally excited. But this is just not about Toronto, as the minister said and Jamie said. This is about our friends in Vancouver and Edmonton and Montreal. We are united as one, working together to bring this thing over the goal line, and it's exciting. I do want to thank the United Bid. They've been fantastic to work with, and Peter Montopoli from CSA with your leadership. Hope we're going to get this going. And being the chair of Exhibition Place and bringing BMO Field here in a very short time. We saw 2007, the under-20 FIFA men's play here. We saw the 2014 women's FIFA play here. We had the Legends outdoor Claxa play. So in a very short time, this stadium has seen a lot of events, and we want to see some great. So I think Bill Manning from TFC might have some things about maybe a new stadium at Togo. I think he wants to see that played here. But I want to also thank Bill Manning, who's become a very good friend of mine and who's ignited the city with TFC. And I want to wish you luck tonight in Mexico. There's a big game in Mexico with TFC tonight, so I want to thank. But Toronto's on fire with soccer now, and the TFC success has been great, and it's a big feather in the cap for Bill Manning. So again, I just want to say I'm excited about this. I hope we're going to bring this over the goal line. I do want to thank Mike Williams and his team. Matt Oates is here today also. It's been crazy working with all the other Canadian cities and working with the CSA. The phone calls going back and forth. Bob Richardson's here. I've been on the phone with him and Jamie. But it's exciting, and I'm really hoping for these guys here that we're going to bring this this home, and I'm pretty confident that we are going to bring it home. So thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's probably a good thing TFC's not playing here today, because that field looks more like it's ready for the Winter Classic again. I want to add my comment. You guys are awesome. Give these guys another round of applause. So thank you, Councillor Grimes. Our next speaker is Peter Montopoli, who's the General Secretary of the Canadian Soccer Association. I first met Peter a few short months ago. We performed together on the stage at Massey Hall, actually. That's a story for another time. But we hosted an event that he came and presented to talk about this bid. And if you weren't a soccer fan before the presentation, you were when it ended. I can tell you that. This man has a great deal of passion and enthusiasm, and it's that type of thing that's going to help bring this bid home. So, Peter, come on up and share some of that passion with us.
How are you guys? Thank you all for being here. Minister Duncan, thank you. James, thank you. Councillor Grimes, thank you from the beginning. I'd like to thank the City of Toronto. Two individuals that were instrumental in getting us here today. Bill Manning, who's been unwavering in his support for Canada Soccer and the United Bid, and Larry Tannenbaum. When we call on Larry, he's always there for us. So thank you. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Bob Richardson, who's been a devoted board member of Canada Soccer, who spent countless hours on this project to get us across the goal line. And Bob, we're almost there, almost there. So thank you to all. On behalf of Canada Soccer, I would like to thank the Government of Canada and the Honourable Minister Duncan for your support, your announcement today, the work of your colleagues, the work of your staff to get us to the point where we can say we are bidding for the 2026 FIFA World Cup for Canada. The United Bid is based on the pillars of unity, certainty, and opportunity. Big words. Unity, you can see here as we are represented by 3 countries in North America, a population of 500 million people. Certainty is based on the strength of North America's infrastructure. And it is fitting here, Bill, that we're here at Canada's national soccer stadium. Maybe before you arrived, it was called the Canada's National Soccer Stadium. And it was built for the FIFA U20 World Cup, Canada 2007. And we sold out every match here in Toronto. But it wasn't about only Canada playing. It was about the other countries. And the final was won here by Argentina. Arguello was the MVP of the competition, and he's now the main player for Manchester City. So it's about that. Here's a fun fact for everybody. Canada and Canada Soccer has hosted every FIFA World Cup there is, sold for one. And that's what we're here to do today, is to bid for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And if we achieve this, there are 211 FIFA member associations. Canada Soccer is one of Canada. We would be the only country in the world to have hosted every FIFA World Cup there is. So in saying that, it is our time. It's our time for all of us, but it's not just about Canada Soccer. It's all of you. For everybody who supported TFC, for everybody who supported our other MLS teams, our other professional clubs, our women's national team, as Robin was a part of. It's about our country. And more importantly, it's about these people right here. It's about our youth. It's about the girls who have their role models on the women's national team. I'm sure all of you were watching the FIFA Women's World Cup in 2015. You have your role models. And now these little boys and some older boys in the TFC Academy will be saying, I'll be the next Alphonso Davies. Now, Alphonso's only 17 years old, but maybe you could be the next Atiba Hutchinson. And that's what you're striving. And that's what Canada Soccer is here to do, for all of you to be part of our national teams, to be a role model for the next generations after you. So on behalf of Canada Soccer, thank you, Minister Duncan. Thank you, City of Toronto. Thank you to all of you for being part of this journey. And we're proud to be part of this journey with our friends in Mexico and United States. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Peter. My name is Adam Vaughn, and while Mark likes to talk about everything that happens in Etobicoke, you're in my riding of Spadina Fort York, which is the host not just to TFC, but to so many of this country's great sporting events. One of the reasons FIFA really needs to take this bid seriously is they should come to Toronto during a World Cup. It's one of the few cities in the world where the tournament doesn't stop when your team goes out. You just simply put down your flag and pick up someone else's flag. I remember a couple of World Cups ago when Italy and Australia were playing in the quarterfinals, which was the composition of my household. Our next door neighbors were watching on the same day the Portuguese team and the Dutch team play. 2 houses, 4 teams, 4 countries, but 2 families all watching the games together. The men went out in the back and commiserated our losses while the wives went out in the front and celebrated with their flags. But when the tournament goes on, and a friend from Chile explained this, he said when he was in Chile and Chile would go out, that was the end of the tournament. But as I said, in Toronto, it's either your partner, or it's a neighbor, or it's a friend at work, or it's a country that you've got an affinity to because you've got some connection through family or friends. But you just keep picking up flags and picking up uniforms, and the tournament just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the whole city comes behind the 2 final teams. That spirit of sport, that spirit of Toronto, that spirit of this bid and bringing the United States and Mexico together is what sport is all about. It's why we're behind this as governments. And it's the diversity that's represented here. It's the diversity in the crowd. And I just want to say that this is a huge opportunity for the world to see how North America gets together, works together, and delivers a future for our kids and for our communities. And with that, as the former journalist who's the politician here today, I'll invite the guests of honor, Minister Duncan and Peter and the Consul Generals from the other countries to come up to the stage, and it's time for the media to ask some questions, and if they get tough, I'll shut it down. Anyway, if you could please come up. You are. And I think we have a moderator as well who's going to take some of the questions.
Hello, we're just going to transition a bit here. What we would like to do is have you say your name and your outlet when you ask your question. This will be the only opportunity for questions. So please, if you have a question, it needs to be asked now. So please identify who the question is for, and then we will have that individual answer it for you. So, show of hands. And you can wait for the handheld, sorry.
About logistics in terms of how many games Canada will get, how many each city will get if it is successful?
Right, maybe I'll answer that. Currently, Canada will have 10 matches in our country. That's what the proposal is for. We have not designated how many matches will be in each city, but in total, at the moment, as the bid goes in, it'll be 10 matches in Canada. I believe it'll be currently 10 matches in Mexico as well.
Thank you. Next question. Neil?
Neil Davidson, the Canadian Press. I guess my question is for the Minister. The government is supporting this bid. Does that, I'm wondering what comes with that support. Is there money attached? If you could explain that a little further.
Sure, thank you very much. Let me just say this is a really exciting day. It's an exciting opportunity for Canada to co-host with our partners, Mexico and the United States, the 2026 FIFA Men's World Cup. It's good for our athletes, it's good for our communities, our economy, our reputation as an international sport leader. We are behind this bid, and there's much work to be done. So March 16th, the bid book is due. June, and I'll let Peter pick this up, in June, there will be a decision by the 211 members of FIFA whether it'll be, there's a competing bid, which is Morocco, or it will be the unified bid of 2026. We think we stand a really good chance because it's the first time it's multi-partners, and we are one of the most diverse countries in the world. Our cities are diverse. Every team will be a home team. With that decision, the government will commit up to $5 million in order to support the development and the budgeting going forward. Peter, do you want to add anything?
Sure. Thank you, Minister. In all that, June 13th, there'll be the vote at the FIFA Congress to decide if it's the united bid or potentially the competitors, Morocco. The federal government, in the 16 months that we've been working with your departments, have been excellent to guide us along the requirements, whether it be the government guarantees or the host country vision or the host country declaration. Unwavering support from the federal government of what's required from a governmental point of view in the hosting of the largest sporting event in the world. And so that requires a lot of effort from the governmental point. And the same has been done in the United States and Mexico. So there's 3 sets of government guarantees, 3 sets of host country declarations, and 3 sets of host country visions. So we are united, but certainly in each country, there are some special nuances that they are supporting, but the government guarantees are in place for us to put the bid in for March 16th, this Friday.
Thank you. Next question.
This is also for Minister Duncan. Minister, the Mayor says he's supporting this bid, but he has expressed some concerns over security costs and who will be picking up the tab for that. And he has said that he believes because it's a national bid that the federal government should be picking up the majority of that cost. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
We're at a really preliminary stage at this stage, although it's 16 months of work to get here. The estimates right now are very preliminary. We have a lot of work to do with our stakeholders. As I said, the bid is due this Friday. If we get to June, then there's $5 million investment to do the clarifying of the plans, the budgets going forward. I think it's important to point out that FIFA will choose which cities are involved in 2020. There will be more clarification. So we're at a very early stage. I should note that the federal government has the federal policy for hosting an international competition. It's up to 35% of the total cost of an event, or up to 50% of the public costs, public investment.
Thank you. Next question. Going once? Going twice?
One more.
Wow, okay.
Sorry,
you get to go again.
Yeah.
No problem.
Is there any, I know you guys have kind of been around that number, but is there any sort of estimate as to what the total cost of this bid could be for Canada in terms of municipalities, the federal government, everybody all together? Like, what is the typical cost of a bid? I know it's split, but if you give me some sort
So
of
you're asking for the competition or the bid? The bid itself? For the bid itself?
yeah, everything, yeah.
The cost of the bid is absorbed by us as Canada Soccer in Canada. The cost of the bid in Mexico is the Mexican Football Federation, and in the United States, U.S. Soccer. So we're each absorbing our own costs. There are shared costs. I would only say from a Canada perspective, Canada Soccer is very comfortable in terms of what the costs may be from our bid perspective, and certainly nowhere near what an Olympic bid requirement would be this day and age, and we're very comfortable from a financial point of view in absorbing that cost.
And what about hosting? How much does hosting typically cost?
Well, I think that the minister was correct. It's still very preliminary at this stage. I mean, we're just looking to have the bid go in, and so it's very preliminary at this moment in time.
And just to add, it's the largest tournament that will have ever been held. So when you're going from 32 to 48 teams, there are some unknowns. So it is preliminary.